Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics. So, with the safety of political figures in the news again, Nigel Farage and Reform UK are trying to claim that the authorities have put Nigel Farage at risk by refusing to supply him with a security detail. Farage claims he's the most attacked politician in the country. He specifically says the most physically and verbally attacked public figure or politician of modern times. An insult to the memories of murdered MPs Joe Cox and David Amos, when Farage's list of threats include 2 milkshakes and an empty paper cup. It's also offensive, no doubt, to these scores of MPs, mostly women, who face regular threats of violence, in many cases egged on by Nigel Farage himself. Where is Farage's evidence that he is more attacked than MPs who were literally murdered, when he has never been physically assaulted? Or that he is verbally attacked more than others? Where's the documentation? The narcissistic toad makes me sick sometimes. However, there's a new twist to this story. See, Nigel Farage has had state security provided to him when the authorities assessed the risk required it, just as they do for all MPs. But it has now transpired that Nigel Farage was offered a more long-term level of state security, quite a high level. And Nigel Farage turned it down. Farage now claims that he turned it down because the security offered wasn't enough. But looking at the report in the iPaper, it's stronger security than his own private outfit. It's also the same level of security that is provided to the leader of the opposition and many cabinet ministers. Only the most senior members of the government get more. And remember, Nigel Farage has never offered up any evidence that he is threatened to the level where he needs much more protection than the average cabinet minister. So why would Farage, a backbench MP, turn down a level of state-provided security that is stronger than the one his wealthy mates are paying for? In fact, Farage claims he's the real leader of the opposition. So why is he turning down the security arrangements that the leader of the opposition has? Well, as Farage isn't exactly coming clean, I have a few thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments. So, the first could be hubris. Nigel Farage is similar to Donald Trump, not just in terms of their shared politics, but their overwhelming sense of self-importance. It may well be that Farage will not accept a level of security that is less impressive than that provided to, for example, the Prime Minister or the monarch. I'm basically a king. I should have a king's bodyguard. He may have thought that. And like a spoiled brat who isn't allowed the cake that they want for dessert, sulks and turns down the one which is offered. Then on to the second possibility. Nigel Farage claims the establishment is out to get him. Isn't this a tricky position to maintain if the establishment is providing you with your security detail? Did Nigel Farage turn the security offer down because he knows he isn't really seriously threatened? Certainly no more than the average MP, but wants to create a narrative of the authorities refusing to protect him. Because I do wonder why Farage, if he genuinely feared attacks, would turn down security that is actually better than the private group of 3 bold blokes and a BMW that Posh George is paying for. Reform UK, according to the report, said that Farage needed stronger protection. They don't say why. They also don't say why he downgraded his own security by turning down what was offered in return for a lesser private service. The report also reminds us that Zia Yusuf lied when he said the state was providing no protection whatsoever. They have. He's lied. Farage has lied. Whichever monkeys Reform UK using for their press officers have lied. Then a third possibility occurs to me. Nigel Farage is a bit of a shady character, really, isn't he? Very secretive about some of his dealings with people. Now, Farage has accepted state security in the past, but might there be a reason why he doesn't want it on a permanent basis? Perhaps he'd be nervous about having police officers around him all the time if he's going to hold meetings he'd rather nobody knew were taking place. His police security detail wouldn't be bound to secrecy. I mean, if they suspected him of criminal behaviour, they would report him. Unlike with the police who failed to properly report breaches of the law in 10 Downing Street during lockdowns, they will have been presumably worried about grassing up the Prime Minister. Farage is just a backbench MP. He's got no power over any police officer. No reason for them to fear reporting any dodgy meetings to the security services, for example. Perhaps Farage wanted to avoid having the police around him too much. Or maybe it was just one of the other two reasons. But the fact of the matter is this: MPs are threatened, and there is an independent assessor who works out at any particular time what level of security MPs need. They all have access to it. Nigel Farage has been offered a meeting with the person in charge. He's accepted. He will use it as another distraction exercise. He will offer up no evidence that he or his party's MPs are particularly threatened, and so will emerge from the meeting claiming he was stonewalled. It's right that Reform UK MPs get extra security right now, because there's a possibility that Anne Widdecombe was targeted because of her party affiliation, and it might not be a lone wolf exercise. Just like Jess Phillips got special protection when Farage's mate Elon Musk was inciting violence against her. And just like every MP, from senior minister down to inexperienced backbencher, they get whatever security the authorities feel is needed to keep them safe. But it is based on threat assessments which change with time. It's not based on egos. Reform UK claims Farage needs more protection because he puts himself out and about amongst the public. That's not quite true. He does campaign a lot, sure, but he refuses to do surgeries in his own constituency, which is one of the most pro-Reform UK publics in the country. We've seen footage of him scarpering from the public streets whenever someone comes along with a banner denouncing his policies. Peaceful protesters come along, he runs away. So does he really put himself out and about amongst the public, or does he just take himself to places where he knows he'll get a warm reception? And it also has to be said that Nigel Farage is one of the figures who has incited violence against MPs. He's not the entire cause. There were risks against MPs before Farage ever came onto the scene, and there have been other MPs who have incited violence. There have been newspaper outlets that have incited violence. But you think about Boris Johnson, Mark Francois, they have incited violence against MPs. But the reason Farage so desperately wants a security detail is I think he knows what he's doing. He knows he is inciting mob violence to further his own political aims. His power derives from public anger, so he needs the public to be angry. But he also knows that inspiring anger as a political weapon is not so much a sniper shot as a blast grenade. He knows that the anger and violence he is deliberately inciting could easily be turned against him. The line of inquiry into the murder of Anne Widdecombe is that the murderer was motivated by anger towards the right wing. In other words, they are left wing. Violence against politicians in this country in modern times has been carried out by figures on the far right so far. Even David Amos, who was right wing, was murdered by someone on the right wing. But I've never been blind to the same anger and hate amongst some extremists on the left. It's just that we've not had someone on the left carry out a high-profile attack like this. But the potential was always there. The point is, however, if you choose to stoke division rather than unity, you are going to anger those ranged against you as much as those you wish to bring to your side. So I believe Farage might feel genuinely threatened because he knows he's playing with fire. He knows he's tossing hand grenades around and can just as easily get caught in the blast as his intended targets. But the process for offering him security is the same impartial process used for every MP. It's based on risk, and all MPs are required to do is pass on information to the authorities so that they can feed that into their risk assessment. So that means any threats and incidents get reported. Farage has clearly not provided evidence of excessive threats against him compared to certainly senior members of the cabinet. And yet he was still offered a very high level of security by the state, which he turned down. Better than his own private security. He turned it down. It's also worth noting he kept that quiet as well. When Reform UK claimed he was offered no protection whatsoever, they didn't say he was offered inadequate protection and so rejected it. No, they said he was offered no protection whatsoever, and they lied again. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Please subscribe to the channel for more content. Click the bell notification icon so you know when new videos are out. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.